What is simpler than pinning a knight? Stopping it from moving, getting ready to castle, developing my piece, connecting my rooks, and that's all basically quite beginner's level of thinking. We're starting this video by seeing 3 positions in which one is going to be lost just after pinning the opponent's knight. One tactical problem with pinning can be found in advanced French, and it is often seen in practice, especially by those low-rated players. e4, e6, d4, d5, e5, c5, c3, knight c6, bishop b5. That's a terrible move from positional aspect, but this time we're going to be discussing only tactical repercussions of it. Okay, black just continues with bishop d7, knight f3, white just continues to develop, and there is something interesting for you to think about. Take your time, pause, and continue once you get a clue. How black wins material here. I'm continuing in 3, 2, 1. It's going to be knight takes c5. What is going to happen now? If white takes the knight, we take the bishop, we're up a pawn. If instead white takes the bishop, we just take it with the knight from e5, running away from the attack. Either way, black ends up a pawn. The next one comes from the queen's gambit, and it starts with d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, bishop f4, b6, e3, and then bishop b4. Black is happy to pin the knight and prepare to castle. But this move actually loses on spot. Take a couple of seconds to guess the move for white, or pause. I'm continuing in 3, 2, 1. It is queen a4, and the bishop falls on the next move. That's just a cheap trick, but anyway, it makes you think whether you should pin or maybe better not. Next is some sort of modern defense, serving the purpose of showing how an undefended bishop on g4, which is pinning the white's knight, is not going to end up well for black. Starts with the e4, g6, d4, bishop g7, knight f3, d6, bishop c4, and then bishop g4. That's the moment. Now pause if you need, because I'm showing the move in a couple of seconds. Actually in 3, 2, 1. It's going to be bishop takes pawn on f7, and after king takes, of course, knight g5 check. After king e8, just queen takes bishop on g4. Be careful when you're pinning the opponent's knight again, because if the bishop is undefended, that may be a bad idea. Sometimes, on the other end, is an opponent who refuses to fight and plays the exchange variation of the French. So after bishop d3, bishop d6, knight f3, knight e7, castles, and this pin is actually one of those meaningful pins. But the next one, bishop g5, is not. They already castled, while we didn't. And that opens up a possibility to create a sudden chaos on the board. Try to find the idea while I'm going to count again. 3, 2, 1. f6. Well, nothing special happens with it, but let's say after bishop h4 to see what comes next. If you didn't find f6 before, now you may try to redeem yourself. g5, and after bishop g3, just queen d7, knight d2, h5, bishop takes, let's say, queen takes d6, rook e1, and then longside castling. We basically trick them. We use their bishop that is not on the board anymore to advance our pawns on the king side, and thus create great chances for the attack. To many of you, this will seem boring, dry, predictive, but actually I really like to use this as black, knowing how many of those low-rated players are completely unaware of the following positional trick. Starting with e4, e5, knight f2, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, d3, d6. Very important thing is that we do not castle. And when they do that, often this is already a sign that white is probably not aware of the coming trick. Knight f6, bishop g5, h6, bishop h5, and here we are. How it is possible that black's position is already more pleasant? Now take your time and think about the following plan for black while the time is ticking. 3, 2, 1. g5. An excellent move. Now look at the unfortunate g3 bishop. Look at the black's king being able to castle long while their pawns on the king side are ready to advance further, and they're already marching. I do not know a chess player that would rather take white here. The line we saw a moment before in the advanced French is actually very popular among beginners for some reason. We'll go with e4, e6 again, d4, d5, e5, c5, c3, knight c6, and bishop b5. Same old bad move. Black is going to play queen b6. And now white is realizing there is no point of trading the bishop for that knight on c6. But it is a bit embarrassing, to admit that it was a mistake and maybe go back into your own camp. So let's go on with bishop takes c6 and here b takes c6. Why not double the pawns if you are going to undouble at any moment by taking on d4 at some point, and after white recaptures, you just advance the one behind. Black gets the bishop pair, an extra pawn in the center soon, and everything one would imagine getting out of the first 6 moves. The Queen's Gambit is full of those moments when black meaninglessly pinned the white c3 knight, although white's king is just about to move to the side and castle. There is also one moment in the Queen's Gambit accepted, and it goes with d4, d5, c4, d takes c, knight f3, knight f6, e3, e6, bishop takes pawn, a6, and then knight c3. So far nothing is wrong, but then after bishop b4, how on earth this may be a good idea, or any idea? I mean, white king is about to run away, and there is no pin going on afterwards. So we must imagine that black is happy to trade their dark square bishop for that knight on c3. But why is that a good idea? It is simply not. White doesn't even need to initiate that trade. I mean, you can just castle. And black, let's say, castles as well. Okay, now we would probably like to ask them, what are you trying to do with the bishop, playing a3, and after bishop takes, pawn takes, here it is. White just got an extra pawn into the center. Together with the bishop pair, I would say, well done, black. Thank you for helping. On the other side, a pin is sometimes a bad idea because it simply doesn't last longer than a move or two, especially if you already have the other bishop fianchettoed. Let's see how that obstructs the pin. Say d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f3, knight f6, g3, c6, bishop g2, knight bd7, castling, bishop d6, knight c3, castles, and then bishop g5. And what white is thinking of doing after black just asks the question about the pin, playing simply h6. The bishop can't maintain the pin by going back to h4, because then g5 and the bishop gets trapped. And if the bishop takes on f6, well, simply knight takes f6, black just gained the bishop pair. And basically what you can see is that there is no point of pinning the opponent's knight with the dark square bishop if your light square one is fianchetted and the pawn is standing on g3, obstructing its retreatment. Before we conclude by underlining that sometimes pinning the opponent's knight is not the best option for your bishop, we'll seal it with another plain example of unsuccessful and unreasonable pin in the King's Indian attack setup. Starts with knight f3, knight f6, g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, castles, d6, d3, castles, and e4. Which point we got bishop g4. Again, you can just maybe pause the video and I'm counting 3, 2, 1, simply attack it. Play h3. That's it. Comments below, subscribe, like, and lights off.